sharing with you in this video how to stop reacting and start creating. And so for me, this is a really important topic because what most people kind of do, in my personal opinion, and they don't even realize that they're doing this, is they're walking around and they're just sort of like waiting for the next big thing to happen in order to be happy. They're just sort of like waiting for this next big moment to happen so that then finally they can give themselves permission to find peace in the present moment. And so in this video, what I'm going to be sharing with you is how to step back into a creator mindset. So you're not just letting things happen. You're not sort of just like this flying bag in the wind where stuff just happens, and you're waiting for that next big, pinnacle moment to finally come at peace with yourself in this moment. And so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in regards to how to actually do this is to really start to understand that when you're reactive, reactivity fuels what you do not want. That's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. At the end of the day, when you're reacting emotionally to something unconsciously and you don't even realize that you're doing this, what happens is that you're sort of just fueling all the things you dislike in your life. Anything that you don't like in your life, anything that you feel is upsetting you, anything that you just don't want to be happening. What's happening is that reactivity fuels all of this. That's really what it comes down to, is that it's fueling all of this. So when you're not the awareness of the reactivity and then you become the reactivity, you become the problems in your life, that's when you have no more power. So rather than just having an experience happen, that you are simply the awareness behind, so to speak, of the problem, where you don't need to identify with the problem, you become the issue. You become the problem, you become all the things in your life that you don't even want, and then all the things that you're complaining about, all the things that you're resisting, all the things that you really, really would prefer not to have in your life, you're creating more of it. And it all comes down to accountability at that point, because you have to start to look at this. You have to be accountable in your life. This isn't just some woo-woo energy stuff. This is your mindset is going to affect your actions, and then the actions are going to affect the results that you're getting in your life. This is super practical. This is super grounded. This is super down-to-earth information. Now, at the end of the day, there's many ways you can look at it. You can look at it from an emotional perspective. You can look at it from a spiritual perspective, but also you can just kind of look at it from a very logical A, B to C perspective. You can look at it as just, one thing affects the next thing, and then it affects the next thing. And where does it start? It starts with how aware are you of how you're carrying yourself in this present moment. So the second thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to stop reacting and start creating is to understand that negative thoughts and emotions do not necessarily mean anything necessarily. So most people, what happens in their life is that when they have a negative thought, when they have a negative emotion happen in their life, they're taking that situation and they say okay, this means that I shouldn't continue with what it is that I want to do. At the end of the day, it's not the case where you're feeling a negative emotion and then that means that you shouldn't do whatever it is that you said you wanted to do. That's not what it means. A negative emotion, again, doesn't necessarily mean anything whatsoever. There's no meaning to it. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? When you experience negative emotion, when something happens, when you feel super negative about something, what happens is that oftentimes we take that negative emotion and then we feel negative about the negative emotion. You know what I mean? And so we're sort of entangled in this negative emotion. You become so attached and so entangled in this problem. You complain about it and then you yell about it and then you say, why is this happening? And then meanwhile, you're talking so much about it, and then look what's happening in your experience is that you're creating more of it. Oftentimes the best thing you can do is just stay silent in those situations. But it's not about staying silent or talking necessarily. It's really about the place that you're coming from. It's how you're doing what you're doing. So are you aware in that moment that you're attaching all of this meaning to the negative emotion? And it's it doesn't mean that whatsoever unless you decide it to be the case. It can seem confusing. It can seem like a lot when you have somebody explain this to you, but it's like at the end of the day, you have to become aware of it in the present moment and then how it affects you and how you're living your life. It's not where like I can just explain it to you and then give you all this information and you're going to be like, oh yeah, like actually I get it. It's like even if you get it, it's going to be a realization where you can confirm it in this present moment right now, in your experience right now. Like that's just what it's going to come down to. So really, what I invite and encourage you to start to do is to start to look at when you assign all of this meaning to negative moments when they're happening. You know, when a negative situation happens, when you feel a negative reaction, when you feel a negative thought, look at all the meaning that you're attaching to that in terms of the thing that you set an intention to do, the thing that you said you wanted to do, the person that you said you were going to become, the person that you made a decision to become. Notice all of that meaning that comes up. And then I want you to simply learn in that case the art of avoidance, where you're totally safe to just ignore it completely. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not present to the moment. It doesn't mean that you're bypassing your emotions and not feeling them. What it means is that you can be so self-aware of the negative meanings that you're attaching and simply decide to take action anyway. So it's not that you're not going to be feeling the feelings. No, you're still going to be feeling the feelings. It's just that you don't allow that to dictate your next course of action. Most people, they take all that meaning and then say, okay, that's going to happen. You know, your brain is going to assign meaning to situations. But the question is, are you going to let that dictate your action and where you go in your life and what it is that you do and how you show up in your life? Are you going to let it entangle you? See, I think that life is about rising above your emotions. That's what it really comes down to. I think that life comes down to rising above negativity. And even, you know, just to add a little caveat to this, is also to rise above positive emotions as well. I think that we're here not to attach to the positive or the negative. See, the positive and the negative are both going to lead to unhappiness in your life, a true unhappiness where you're not content with the present moment. How do you become truly content with both the positive and the negative? It's by understanding the place that you're coming from. So this is what we really, I believe, need to start to value in our life, is remember and value, and just to see, like, do you value the place that you're coming from in terms of what you're doing and how you're doing it? Do you care about how you're doing stuff? Or do you just care about the result? Like, if you only care about the result and only what you're getting, you're still not a creator, because a creator is where you start to take internal accountability for the results that you're getting, and then how you can shape shift differently, and then look at your past mistakes. And you look at your past problems, you look at the way you assigned the meaning, you look at the results that you got as a result of the actions that you took from the way that you thought, you take full accountability for that, and then you move on and you learn. And to learn faster, you have to have self-awareness and a direct connection to the present moment. You have to have a direct connection to the present moment, and you have to be connected to the divine. If you're not connected to the divinity of the present moment, if you're not connected to the, this powerful presence of this moment right here that you have, you're going to be more likely to fall into being very entangled in all of the negative emotions, and then allow that to dictate your next course of action, which can be problematic. And then so the final thing that I want to share with you in this video is really to start to understand that I really believe what's very important is to stop attaching to your thoughts. Just let them go immediately and then just become them. I think that the fastest way to sort of create your reality, so to speak, or to create the life that you want, is to start to immediately just take action on the intentions that you prefer to have in your life on a moment-to-moment basis. It's to become sort of like a natural executor, where you're just executing. You don't think about it. You don't think about taking action, you just do it. And it sounds cliche, but it's like we can all get so lost in perfectionism. Wanting for things to be perfect. Like, oh, it has to be perfect. It has to be this way. And if it's not this exact way, then it's like you fall into this sort of state of resistance, and then you're overthinking, and then you're not even taking, you become sort of stuck. You become stuck in a state of stagnation where things aren't changing, things aren't growing, things aren't transforming. And it's like, I do not believe that that is our natural state. I think that our natural state is a state of transformation and growth and change on a moment to moment basis, where you're not even the same person that you were 5 minutes ago. Like your cells are vibrating and changing and moving on a moment to moment basis, and you're never the same. Now, if you get stuck in an idea and you keep allowing yourself to take actions based on all the negative meanings that you're assigning to situations, when one little thing goes wrong, that that goes wrong against your intention and what you want to create, like, you can't keep blaming the outside world for that. You know what I mean? It's like if we just continually stop taking action based on one wrong thing that goes against our desire and what we want, and you think that the external world is stopping you from creating what you want, it's absolutely not the case. Oftentimes what we have to do is realize that that oftentimes you're the one that's not taking action on something because you said that it means you shouldn't. This situation means you shouldn't. That situation means you shouldn't do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, so what we have to do is to remove that whole paradigm and then start to just become your thoughts immediately. Just become it. Become who you want to be. And then so when you have a thought and an intention that you prefer to have in your life, become it immediately. That's a good technique right there. Can you actually do that? Can you immediately become the things that you want, and through the mental decision to decide on something, you take action upon it immediately, and then you give yourself permission to simply be it. You are already it. It already is the case. Like, that's what it really means to stop reacting and start creating, is to immediately give yourself permission to be whatever it is that you said you are. See, that's the thing, is that most people, they try to stop letting go of things that they don't want in their life. They try. And then they're waiting for this moment to happen where something comes in, and then they, manifest what they want. They create it. Manifestation is not this, yes, the present moment is divine. Every single moment is mystical. Everything is mystical. This moment is mystical. When you manifest, when you create $1 million, $25 million, when something amazing happens in your life, that's just as mystical as nothing happening in your life at all. They're both equally valid from the universe's perspective. Not one or the other is more valid than the other. It's all valid. The question is, like, what do you prefer? What do you prefer in your life? Like, what excites you more? What are your standards? What is normal to you? What do you want to make normal to you? Do you want what you want to be this sort of like crazy thing that's just like, oh my God, like, yes, I finally created it and I'm finally happy now? Or do you want it to just be like, that's just who I am because I made a decision and that's how I am. That's the person that I am. Like, you can make the choice, right? You can decide how you want to live your life. But for me, I simply want to make what I want normal. It's a normal part of my identity. It's a normal part of my existence. It's not that I'm not going to be happy. It's not that I'm not going to be grateful. It's not that I'm not going to celebrate and then have happy moments, of like great emotional rushes of happiness. But it's like, eventually I want to just reground into just, this is normal. That's just normal. It's like, yeah, of course I got what I wanted because, I made a decision to be it, and then I just became it. And then a person might be like, oh, well, you're very arrogant to just sort of give yourself permission to just be that. Like, what gives you the right to do that? And it's like, what gives me the right? Why can't I do that? You know what I mean? It's like, why can't we just become whatever it is that we want? Why can't we just give ourselves permission to just become the thing that we said that we are in the present moment just a moment ago, even if you just thought of it just now? Who said that you can't? Whoever said that you can't do that? It's that you heard somewhere in the conditioning of your experience that you're not allowed to just be whatever it is that you want, when that's just who you are naturally. You don't need to take any more spiritual courses. You don't need to watch any more videos. You don't need to read any more books. You don't need to learn more information. Now, if learning more information is going to help you to play the role that you decided upon, and then naturally the divine intelligence within you just sort of takes action towards learning something to then become the role and learn the information that you need, then that's great. But if you think that you need more spiritual knowledge to then start being this way, you're not understanding that transformation and becoming is your natural state. What stops it is when we get stuck in our minds and then attached to our thoughts and then attached to our intentions. And then we get stuck in the mind. We get stuck in our thinking. That's all it is. You have to get out of thinking and then ground into the present moment. That's where all the success is in the present moment. The abundance of the present moment exists, of course, when you can step out of your mind and actually become what you said you want to be in the present moment right now. This means that you have to get out of your mind, get out of your thoughts, and learn the techniques to become present. But then to transcend techniques completely, and then see that techniques are not what you're looking for. You want to become a natural creator, which is what you simply are. That's just what you are. That's my belief, is that, if you want something, if you're serious about the decision to create it, of course you're going to create it. Of course it's going to happen for you. Of course, there's no way for you not to create what you want if you are firm on your decision. If you're firm on your decision, it's like you already have a 99.9% chance more success than most people, because that's the thing, is that most people are just not firm on their decision. They're trying to create stuff and they hope that it's going to work. You can't hope. You have to decide what you want and then do it. And then do it and then become an action taker and an executor on a moment-to-moment basis where you trust, you have self-trust that you are an action taker. That's who you are. You just take action. That's your natural state. This is not something that you can just pretend that is the case. You have to actually become it. Actually become it. So you can't just have positive self-talk while you feel like internally you're lying to yourself, but then really you're still in a state of stagnation. Sometimes you have to be honest with yourself. If that's what you need in the present moment, you say, you know what, right now I'm not where I want to be. I'm not happy right now. And it's like, I don't even trust myself to create this, but I feel like maybe if I move in this direction, I'm going to feel a little bit better. And then I'm going to build that self-trust. So then just go with that. Maybe eventually you follow that path, and then a few months later, you become the person that just says, yeah, I'm just an action taker. And then when I have thoughts that I like, I take action upon them immediately. And then if I have thoughts that I don't like, that I don't resonate with, I just ignore them, and then I don't allow them to define the actions that I take. That's just who I am. And then when you get to that point, what happens is that now you're simply a becomer. You're a becomer. You're not a thinker and then just an average doer even. You're a becomer. You can so people can do with unconsciousness, you know what I mean? But if you do with presence, if you do with awareness, if you do with divinity and allow that divine intelligence to work through you in this present moment, you're going to simply become your intentions. You're going to become the person that you want to be. You're going to actually live into the person that you want to be. You're going to own it. You're going to own it. You're going to own all of it. All the struggle, all the issues, all the problems, all the challenges that are going to come up on the way to the vision that you want to create for yourself. You're going to own all of it. You're going to own all of it. You're going to take full responsibility. You're going to take complete accountability for all the issues that come up within yourself. And then you're going to move forward towards the vision anyway. That's what it means to be a creator, is to be simply so dedicated and then so focused on your vision and the path that you're headed in that you absolutely know that it's going to happen, because you're so good at just ignoring the challenges that come up along the way. And it's not even that you're seeing that you're pretending that they don't exist. You see that they exist. You even fully feel the emotions. Again, you just don't allow that to define the action that you take. And then that's when you gain your power back, is when you see that external circumstances, even negative emotions, don't need to define who you decide to be in this present moment. It doesn't need to define who you want to be in this present moment. You can be whoever it is that you want to be in this present moment, regardless of the external situation, regardless of what's happening out there, and even in your own emotional field, and then simply decide on a path that resonates for you, because that's what you want, and you can give full permission to just become it in the present moment, and then let go of anything else that doesn't help you to be whatever it is that you actually want to be in your life.